Conference meeting report essentially had 20 years of a conference meeting data that we had to extrapolate information from. The original data had 20 separate Excel files and 9 columns of data, but we had to pre-process it to make sure everything was in consistent format. After this, our new data set consisted of 14 columns and 788 records of conference meeting data. So initially, what we had to do for pre-processing, we had to clean up the start and end date data and combine the months of the conference to their corresponding start and end date. Also, we had to make sure it was consistent in day-month format. What we got out of all of this pre-processing was some interesting data, such as the duration of the conference, where in what continent each conference meeting was held, and the weekday of both the start and end date, which gave us some interesting data, as you'll see.
So then we moved on for our data analysis with the frequency distribution of conferences each year, because we wanted to see like the different sizes of the conference meetings throughout the years. And you can see that most of the data is the same with the size. So then we went on to see the total number of conferences per year, and you can see that like it started off not like being at about 23, 24 conferences to now being at over 60 in the last year. So then we moved on to the mealy frequency to test that with what we had before, and we found out that as the years went on, there were more and more conferences like being held each year.
Next, we wanted to look at the duration period and days of conferences. We just wanted to find overall how long each conference lasted for. We find that the average duration of a conference was about 5 days. We also found that 10 to 14 days had the least amount of instances of conference meetings. Next, we wanted to look at the frequency of the start day of the conference. What we found was that Monday had the most conferences starting on it with 398, and below the histogram of this frequency distribution of start day indicates this is so, Monday being in blue, and the rest of the days following order by the key in the top right.
So then we moved on to see the frequency of the end days to see how long each conference really lasted, and we saw that Thursday and Friday was when the majority of the conferences ended. So then we moved on to see what month most of the conferences started with, and we saw that June and September were the two where most of the conferences started. So then we went into the frequency of the continents for the conferences to see like where they were held and all, and you can see that Europe had 353 conferences, and then North America was next with 278.
Next, we looked at the geospatial features of R. We looked at 3 plots: California, Maryland, and Greece. And as you can see in the California plot above, we looked at certain cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and San Bernardino. For the Maryland plot, some cities included Baltimore and Annapolis, and for Greece, some included Athens and Crete. For the dot plot of start day versus duration, we wanted to see if there was any connection between when the conference meetings started and how long they lasted for, and we found there was no connection between the two, as indicated by Monday, which is denoted by 1. It shows that if a conference meeting started on Monday, it could last from 1 to even 14 days. And the same thing happened in the dot plot of the year versus duration. We found that there was no connection between the two. So overall, this data that we gathered is quite interesting. We found when most of the conferences started and ended, which was Monday and Friday respectively. Europe had the most conferences meetings held in it. Some things that we really want to look into later is probably what season each conference meeting was held in. Also time zone, and we wanted to do more background information on why certain years had more conference meetings held in it.